talk to God, go banging on his door.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
You could be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you gon' find yourself
Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
And the world's gonna know your name.
yeah,
Cause you burn with the brightest flame.
yeah,
And the world's gonna know your name.
yeah.
And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can go the distance, you can run the mile. You can walk straight through hell with a smile.
You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke.
Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride. Are you ever gonna know if you never even try?
Do it for your country, do it for your name. Cause there's gonna be a day when you're
Standing in the Hall of Fame.
yeah,
And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the brightest flame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame.
be a champion, be a champion, be a champion, be a champion.
Walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the brightest flame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the king card hanging on your chest.
You can be a girl, you can be the wall. You can be a champion, banging on the wall.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
You could be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself
Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Am I loud and clear? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Let me see you in the chats. It's surprising. I didn't see many persons in the chats today. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Can see my glasses. Shagging me alone. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you once again. I should play the song again. Oh, don't worry. That's why we write the name of the song, So you could also use your data and download that song and listen to it if you really love it. Pay for what you love. All right. All right. So, how's this week been? How's this week been? I'm not going to read the rules of engagements. Let's just go into the main session. But first of all, let's pour some, I would say, cold water right here because it's very hot in Nigeria. So, all right. So I wanted to say let's pour some warm water. Maybe some places are cold. So whatever it is, we'll pour the other temperature. Yeah, so let's discuss. How's the week been? What's the challenge? This discussion is nice, right? We had this kind of discussion in the previous webinar last week, and we got to hear some things, and I had to act on those things you said, right? So we discussed a way to hack through some of those things. So maybe if you pour out your challenges, your experiences, your journey, then we can know how to move forward. So John, our dear John is saying the week has been amazing. Oh, Nairobi is cold. I experienced something like that. I heard that the time we went there, it was hot. I was surprised. Like, is this the weather I call hot? So for you to see Nairobi is cold, then that means it's damn cold, from what I can piece together. Where are there? I can see a couple of persons online and they are being humble. Nobody had challenge, nobody had any issue, nobody had any experience. So I should just teach on. Is that what you want? Come on, come on. Type it in the chats. If you've whatever experience you've had so far, like you've been doing integrated projects, right? You've been writing some SQL queries. So don't tell me you don't have any challenge, right? Like everybody is very okay. Is that what you're saying? Should I assume that everyone is okay? You don't understand anything in last week's content. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Can we continue? Just bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Let's see what we should really properly handle. Let's see how we can move forward. Yeah, any other person? Joins and set operations have been giving you a hard time. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, who else? Who else? I think I'll just take from two more people and then, okay. All right. One more person and then we can move forward. Yeah, you've been lost since we started Margin Dogo project. Hmm. That's really strange. I'm getting some strange responses. And yeah, so I think we need to look into this. From nothing to understand in the last week's session or content to the joins and set operations, which were last week as well, and then being lost since the start of Majin Dogo. Hmm. Okay, where should we start? What do you think is the issue? What do you think is the reason for these challenges? What do you think is the reason for these challenges? All right, I would like to see how I could support in clearing these challenges. What do you think is the reason? Give me suggestions. Yep. Yeah, what do you think is the reason? Content overload to understand and find out which query to use. Mm. You think it's because your first time, that's why learning all these at once. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. All right. Let's do something together. Okay. First of all, let me change my sharing. Let me stop sharing and maybe I should just share my desktop. All right. So let's do this. First of all, I would like to know was I've missed the charts. Okay, okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Don't worry. Yeah, so I'm getting you all. Okay, so you said you got lost during the Jupyter MySQL connection. So from there you've been playing catch up. All right. Okay. Oh, okay. So a lot of first timers and technical issues and content overload. Okay. So I'll try to see what we can do here. All right. So let me just speak out some of those things. So sometimes you're pretty confused. Let me start with this. Um, First of all, how many of you, if you know you have connected to, which one should I use? If you know you have issues with my SQL workbench, if you know you have issues with my SQL workbench, can you give me thumbs up? Like, if you know you cannot open your my SQL workbench, can you give me thumbs up? Like, you can't open my SQL workbench, or should we just thumbs down? Yeah, thumbs down if you have issues opening your my SQL workbench. Yeah, so this is my SQL workbench, right? So this is it right here. So if you're having issues opening my SQL workbench, can you give me thumbs down, or just let me know in the chats? All right. Okay. Okay, so for, for Moriah, do you have, I see thumbs down. How about Jupyter Notebook? How about Jupyter Notebook? Okay, if you have issues with both of them, like you cannot open Jupyter Notebook and you cannot open MySQL workbench. Can you just give me a reaction or a thumbs up or something? Like both of them, you are not you can't you've not been able to access my SQL workbench, you've not been able to access Jupyter Notebook. Not one of them, like both of them together. If you can access my secure workbench but you cannot access notebook, it's fine. If you can access notebook but you cannot access workbench, it's fine. But if you can access both, I would like to know. Okay, Pascal, you say you are using MySQL alone. All right. Okay, so I'd like you guys to be engaging. Okay, so it's going to help me to understand where we are. All right, so I will take it that aside from, say, Moriah, who has not been able to, I would like to know if Moriah can use, if your Jupyter notebook is working. Okay, okay, cool. Okay, your notebook is working. Okay, that's fine. So what I'm trying to do here is to make your to give you the option, like what you are doing is SQL, right? So if you can use it on notebook, it's fine. If you can use it on workbench, it's fine. Okay, so I will reiterate this. Let me start from this before I get into trying to address some issues. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that if you have issues with Jupyter Notebook, like I can see Destiny saying that you're having issues with Jupyter Notebook, and because of that, um, okay, trying to use the converted format of SQL is the problem. Okay, I'm coming to you. I saw somebody saying that, okay, I think that's minor. You were trying to use Jupyter Notebook, but you are trying to catch up now because of the issues with Jupyter Notebook, right? Okay, so now let's do this. Let's do this. If you're using any of them, it's very fine. What I want to show you first of all is what we've talked about in your office hour, and I briefly talked about it in the last session. Is that what you are working on is SQL, all right? And you can use SQL, my SQL workbench, to achieve a lot of these things that you are using notebook for. Okay, so in case you are still having connection issues with notebook, you can also use the workbench. All right, so I'm going to show you how to use the workbench, and we helped you in creating the databases. Okay, so right now I'm going to open, you are going to get this presentation, this PDF. All right, you're going to have this presentation deck. So when you get this presentation deck, after this main session slide, the next session slide says alternate databases. Okay, alternate databases, my SQL workbench format. Because I know that some people, after talking about, I know I told you that you could use these databases, just convert it to my SQL format, right? And you'll be able to use it in the workbench. I know some persons might still be having issues in converting it. So what we've done was to help you convert the databases that you will need. So this is the link to the folder. All right. I know some of you already have gotten access to it because we sent this information to you via Circle. So for those that have not still gotten the information, if you were in the office hour the last week, we also talked about this. But for those that have not gotten the information, you are going to get this presentation, right? And you will get access to it. So if I click on this link, okay, it opens this folder. All right, you can see my screen, right? It's opening. You can see there are three databases here. This is Chinook, this is Northwind, and this is TMDB. Please confirm that you can see this. This is Chinook, this is Northwind, this is TMDB. I'm trying to do it step by step so that nobody's going to miss out on it. Okay, awesome. I see some confirmations. Now, I'm sure that I've seen some persons talking about challenges with Chinook or challenges with this. I'm sure that the challenge you're having in your notebook is connected to some of these, is connected to one of these databases, right? I think your TMDB database is what you will use in your exam, right? And the one you use in most of your MCQs and all those things with your notebook are either Chinook or Northwind. I'm correct, right? Okay. So what you would do here now is just to download this. Okay. So there are two ways. I could just open this. Okay. I could open this and I will have all these files, all this information here. Then I could probably just find way to, just highlight everything. Let me see if Control A can work. Okay. So I did a Control A. This is Chinook, right? I did a Control A. Then I would copy it with Control C. Okay. That's one way. I'll show you another way. So now I'm going to my SQL workbench. All right. I'm going to my SQL workbench. And right here in my SQL workbench, I would have opened my SQL workbench and connected it. Okay. So I would have already opened it and connected. You can see I have already opened it. I've opened the SQL workbench. Now I would paste that whole code. All right. Oh, I think I'm not sure I copied everything because I can see there is a statement here that is not complete. Okay, so let me go back. So you make sure that you copy everything. All right, so let me go back to that, double click. So if I do Control A, I have to scroll down to make sure that it indeed copied everything. Okay. Oh, this is so long. Let me just scroll here. Oh, okay. So is man, this thing is too long. So I will just copy, hoping that it's copied everything. So let me go and paste it here. Control V. Okay. So I think that copy is not going to work because it's like it's stopping somewhere. Okay. So I'll give you like the best practice now. Instead of copying, download it. All right. Instead of copying, download it. So what I'm going to do here is I will I will just there are different ways to download. I can take my cursor here and you see this download icon, right? So if I click on it, it's going to download. All right. Then it asks me where do I want to download it. So let me just put it in I want it to download on my desktop. And yeah, that is all. I click save. So it downloads there. I go to Northwind. I can click on these three dots and I select download. Okay. So it's also going to work. All right. So I'll just put them on my desktop. Then this tmdb.sql, I would also download it and save. Okay. Now, to this point, do you understand it? To this point, do you understand what I've done? Can I proceed? Okay. Okay. So now, this is what I want you to understand. If you are having issues with Jupyter Notebook, this session, I'm not trying to show you how to resolve those issues. I'm trying to show you how the issues should not stop you from understanding your SQL course, how it should not stop you in your journey. So I'm giving you an alternative measure. All right. So for those that are having issues with Jupyter Notebook, I'm trying to show you how you can still use my SQL workbench to still proceed. All right. So now that you've downloaded it, you won't see this in Athena yet. This is what we had to do because of the issues you are having. So we had to rework these databases to make it available for you so you can use it in your SQL workbench. So I'm going to give you a step-by-step move. Now I'm going to my desktop, okay? Because I've downloaded them. Look at it here. I have Chinook, I have Northwind, I have TMDB on my desktop, okay? Now the thing here is you should have, I should take it slowly. I thought I was. Okay, so I'll take it slowly. Now you have Chinook, you have Northwind, you have TMDB on your desktop. Okay, thank you. So now you have these three on your desktop. I'm sure you also have them, all right? Okay, you might not have them because I didn't give you the link, all right? So, but if you want to do that, let me see if I can just quickly get the link and share with you. All right. So I'll send the link. Although even when you get the file, when you get after the webinar, when you get the the recording or the resources, you would see the link. Okay. So I've shared the link with you. But just follow through. I don't want you to be distracted. All right. Just follow through. It's a simple process. Okay. So now when you do that, you would have these databases in the location. You could have it in your download folder or your desktop. It depends on where you choose. By default, it will be your download folder, except you change the location for download. Okay. So I changed it to appear in the desktop because my download folder is crowded. I don't want to go through things in public. Okay. So now you have this. The next thing you will do is before you even open it, make sure you have opened your SQL workbench first. All right. Before you do that, make sure you've opened your SQL workbench. So I will close this. So I will explain to you what I mean. Because some persons might just go ahead and open the file, and the file is going to give you some challenges because you've not connected your workbench. So now we'll open my workbench from scratch. So I click this, okay, and you have this interface, right? And I will click this, my local instance. Now my workbench is open and it's connected because I clicked the particular instance that I connected with. Okay, so make sure you have your workbench open before the next step that I'm about to show you. Okay, please, do you understand up to this part that I've just explained? You understand it? Okay, awesome. Now I could just minimize this and say, let me start with Chinook database, right? So all I would just do, because it's already in SQL, and by default, if I open this file, all I just need to do is double click it and my SQL workbench will open. Okay. So this is what's going to happen. I will double click this and you see the SQL workbench has opened again with the contents of that particular file showing here. Now, I don't need to do anything in this file than just to run it. But I'll give you an explanation of what happens here. Now, in this file, everything is written down for you that you almost don't need to do anything for the setup. Look at what it's going to do. It's going to create this database called Chinook, and it's going to make it the default database. Then it will create all these tables and it will put all the data inside the table. So all you need to do is just click on this lightning bolt, right? Just click on it and watch how Just go when you click on it, you would see that you see this progress bar. You can see these things coming down here, your output here. You would see that it would have been showing. You see all these check marks, right? All these tick marks. It's giving you green, 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 green because it's already is inserting all those items until it's done. Now you can just click on this refresh button here in the left pane. Hope I'm not too fast. Hope we are okay. We are getting it to this point, right? I'm pretty fast. Okay. All right. So now all I just said is when you open the file, it will appear here. Just click on this run. That is all. Okay. Okay. How I uploaded it, don't worry. I will do it for the three databases. So I'm sure you're going to get it right. All right. So now, if I click on this refresh icon here in my left pane, I would see Chinook. I didn't do anything than just run this file. Don't click on this cursor that has eye. Don't click on this lightning bolt that has this eye. Click on this lightning bolt that is free from anything. You know, there are two lightning bolts here. Click on the leftmost lightning bolt, the one that does not have eye on it. All right. That's what's going to run everything. Now, you might not see anything here, so just click on this refresh button and you would see Chinook is appearing here. If I click on these tables, it will drop down. You can see I'm seeing all the tables under Chinook. Okay, so Chinook is done. Do we understand? Now, let me do the second one and the third one. So you are going to get it for those that probably didn't get it the first time. All right. So now this is the second one, which is Northwind. I'm not as after downloading it, I'm not doing anything than just open it. But the thing is that before you start opening these files, make sure you've opened MySQL Workbench and it's giving you like this it has opened it and connected. All right. Make sure you've opened your MySQL Workbench. You've made your MySQL Workbench ready before you start opening these files. Now, look at it now. This is Northwind. See what I'm going to do. I will just double click it, or you can right click and select open. That is all. It's going to open that MySQL Workbench with the content inside. All I need to do is click on this icon here, the leftmost lightning bolt up here. I'll just click on it and you can see things will start running. Okay. All right. Now, let me refresh this. You can see I've refreshed the left pane and Northwind is showing. You can see it's as easy as that. When I'm done, I can just close these files. I don't need them again. I can close them. Now, there's one more database, right? Let me just clear this part. There's one more database. That's the one you will use for your exam. That's TMDB. Okay. So in case you are still having Jupyter notebook issues, you still have you can ask those questions. You can write those queries with your MySQL Workbench, and you answer the questions in your exam because your exam is what we call it is MCQ, right? So it is not you are not submitting the notebook. They just want to see that you wrote the proper query and you got the results. So you can, if you're having issues with notebook, you can use your SQL Workbench to do that. So this is the TMDB database. So all I need to do is just double click it and it opens like every other one. And then I click on this leftmost lightning bolt and it runs. Okay. Now, if I refresh this pane on the left, you can see it's not, I'm not seeing TMDB yet. So let me just refresh this. You would see it has appeared here with the tables. All right. Then I can close this and maybe clear this output. So now I have successfully uploaded Chinook, Northwind, and TMDB in my SQL Workbench. Okay. Okay, so you're saying you have VS Code and it's opening automatically. So what you can do, if when you double clicked and it did not open in MySQL, probably it's opening in another program, just right click on it, select open with, okay, select open with. You should see MySQL workbench somewhere. Okay, select open with, then do MySQL workbench. All right, that should work. Or another way to do that is, for those that might not have that straightforward issue, those that might, okay, I'll come to you, Pascal. Those that might have that issue that is not opening straightforward, let me remove this TMDB and let me drop the schema and let me experiment it with you guys. So you can open MySQL Workbench, all right, and then you would click on File, and you click Open SQL Scripts. All right, you can click Open SQL Scripts. Then you just browse to the location where that script is. Like if it's in your downloads, you click on downloads. If in your desktop, you click on desktop, right? So now mine is on the desktop. I click on this, then I click on tmdb.sql and I click open. So it opens here and I run it. So if I refresh it, it's going to show there. So Sharon, you're asking me how did I convert them to SQL scripts? Yeah, so that's the headache we are taking away from you. It's not part of, it's like an engineering process we had to use so that it can help you have alternative measures. Okay. So the thing is, the only difference between SQL, MySQL Workbench and SQLite is just the syntax. So if you want to convert it yourself, you have to go into the code, into the query, and you have to start rewriting the queries to align with MySQL. Okay. So it's going to be a tough work for you, and that's why we had to do it for you. All right. No, I didn't say you won't be needing Jupyter Notebook. What I'm saying is, in case you have issues with Jupyter Notebook, you can use this. And with this, you can decide to choose to use this or Jupyter Notebook. All right. So Jupyter Notebook is good for you to know what is like, how to use it, but that should not disrupt your learning process. All right. So if you're having issues with Jupyter Notebook, you just have that. You could have, even though your SQL and Jupyter Notebook is working, you can decide to use any of those locations to achieve what you want. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to check if there was, if you have like questions that you really want responses to, please do well to use the Q&A so that my colleagues can also help in answering, because as we are populating the chat, I might miss out some of those questions. Okay. All right. Can you also use databases in Jupyter Notebook? Now, I don't need to start showing you. Don't have to, you can't use this in Jupyter Notebook. It's not like you can't use it, right? You can, but that's a different process from what you've been taught. You've been taught to use what we are doing in Jupyter Notebook is to use SQLite. That's the name, all right? That's the pattern, SQLite. Okay. Now, SQLite works with .db. If I want to show you how to use MySQL to connect with Notebook, that's another process too entirely. All right. So, but we are saying now that since you are having challenges with Jupyter Notebook, don't get stuck in it. You can still continue learning and still passing your MCQs and your projects if you can use MySQL Workbench to do the same thing. So we've created the database. We've recreated the database for you to be able to also use MySQL Workbench. Okay. So you can use .sql with the method you are using in Jupyter Notebook. Okay. Jupyter Notebook uses .db for that method you are working with. All right. So hope you understand that. There is PostgreSQL, there is MySQL, there is SQLite. There are a lot of SQL methods. All right. So each method requires a different form of connection in Jupyter Notebook. If you attended last class, I explained the reasons. So I don't want to repeat those things. Okay. So you can watch it. I explained why you are having some of these issues on Jupyter Notebook, because Jupyter Notebook is originally designed for Python. All right. So it is a Python environment. So you will need SQL is like a foreigner there, so you need some connections to get it. So these connections might be causing some issues with some of you because of your system, because of some configurations, because of network and other things. So in order not to spend too much time in trying to resolve that, when the cost journey is not waiting behind, then you can use an alternative so that it's going to save you that stress. Hope you understand my point. So, Pascal, I don't know if you've resolved your issue, because you were saying something like, "Yeah, opening my SQL, the run button is not working." Have you resolved that? One of the reasons why that might happen is if you did not open my SQL. Oh, okay, awesome, 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 awesome. Yeah. Okay. So now we have achieved this, right? So we can proceed. Okay, so I believe that those people that have been having the SQL, the notebook issues, this is going to be helpful. You would have probably achieved this by now. So you are asking, what can we do if MySQL Workbench doesn't accept most queries like select where? It's not possible that MySQL Workbench will not accept those queries, actually. Maybe it's a syntax issue, all right? For example, select is the most common query, so every SQL environment will accept it. There is almost no query you would use here. In short, MySQL Workbench would give you more queries to use. Like if you want to even go sophisticated, you would do you would even use more of those queries in MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench, or any app that is built mainly for SQL, is like the native app for SQL. All right, so it is robust enough to accommodate very sophisticated queries. All right, Jupyter Notebook cannot even accommodate queries as complicated as MySQL Workbench, all right, especially when you're writing MySQL. Okay, so there is not possible that you successfully do a query in Notebook and you can't achieve that in Workbench. No, but it's possible to do like some advanced query in Workbench, and it might not happen there in your what do you call it, in your Notebook. Okay. Okay, all right. So now that we have the data in SQL, can we work with it in Jupyter the same way we do the United Nations database? You can use any one that works for you. If you can access the data in your notebook, then you can do anything. It's the same SQL. It's the same SQL. So I'm just giving you like alternatives. All right. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Now, let me look at some of those challenges. I noted some things down. Let me zoom this for us to understand. All right, so I will do this before let me see. Okay. Okay, let me just open my notebook and let's briefly talk about these joints. Okay, let's briefly talk about these joints. So we have joints. Okay, we have joints. And what are the type of joints? We have the left, right? We have left join, we have right join, we have inner join, and we have full outer join. Okay. What's the most common join here? What's the most common join? What's the most common join? Exactly. Exactly. So inner join is the most common, right? Is the most common join. So when we talk of inner join, in short, to the point that if you are writing your select statements, you don't have to use you don't have to write inner join. Just write join, and the system will take it as inner join. Okay. So Now, among all these, the next most common um join is the left join. Okay, is in yeah. So it's the next most common. Now, that's the left join. So most times people would be using either inner join or left join, not even right join. Rarely you see full outer join. There are other joins. There is the cross join and other stuff, right? But these are the most common ones: inner join, then left join. So the reason why people use left join more often is because right join is just the same thing with left join. A bit, just change it the other way. All right. I explained this. That was like the last thing I touched in the last webinar. Okay. So now let's do something here so you would understand. Okay, let me go back to this place. What's choose a database for me. Which of the databases should we use? We have Chinook, we have Northwind, we have TMDB. Which one should we use? Which of the databases should we use? Chinook. Okay. So if I want to use Chinook, what will I type? If I want Chinook to be the database to use, what will I type? No, let's use Chinook. Somebody has Chinook, it starts with Chinook, right? So yes, use, and we have Chinook. Double O. Okay. Now I run this, and you can see this is what is happening. So let me see. Let me see the tables in Chinook. Let me see if this work. Show tables. Okay, so I have all these tables in Chinook: albums, artists, customers, employees, general, invoice items, and the rest. Okay, so now let's say I want to get an information. All right, so which table should I use? Let's look at the employee table. Okay, let me see. Select all from employees. So I have this. Okay. All right. So what am I seeing here? So I see the employee ID. Okay. So when we are doing this, I'm looking for a scenario that I could use to explain joins. So let me see the tables again. Let me just click on this. So we have employees, we have customers, all right? We have invoices. Okay. So let me check the invoices and let's see. So now I'm going to show you something about joins that could be helpful. All right. So in this particular table, we have the customer ID, we have billing city, we have billing states, and all those stuff. Okay, so we have the total. All right. Do we have any repetition of customer ID? Okay, can somebody give me like a question that you would need to know from this Chinook? What would you like to know about Chinook based on this? Just quickly put that and let's see if we can do that, right? Okay, let me start with this. Let me start with this. Um, we have customer ID here. Okay, we have customer ID here. All right. So let's say you want to see the customers. Let's just assume that these billing states, you can see there are some nulls in these billing states, right? So you want to see the customers that are not that did not record we did not record anything for their billing states. So maybe that question would mean I want to see customers. Maybe that question would mean I want to see customers that did not maybe they did not fill their billing states. All right. So what this means is that, first of all, you ask yourself, where am I going to get this particular customers from, right? What tables do I need? First of all, I need to see the customers. That means I need to see the customers' names, right? So that means I would need the customers table, because it is in the customers table that I would see. Let me go to the notepad here. So I want to see those customers. Let me just copy that question. Let me copy this question. Okay, and let's go to the notepad. Please, for those that say you're having issues with joins, I think this is going to help you out. All right. So now this is what I'm having here. This is the question. I want to see customers that did not fill their billing states. So based on this, that means I want to see maybe the customer's name. Maybe I want to see the customer's name and what other information? Maybe customer's name and email. Okay, this is what I want to see: the customer's name and email that did not fill anything in the billing states. Okay, so that means this particular customer should have had null in the billing states. So they should have maybe null in billing states. Okay, are we together? Are we together? Or let's do it instead. Let's say customers that filled their billing states. I think that should be better. Should we continue with did not fill their billing states? Which one should we choose? That they filled their billing states or did not fill their billing states? Which one should we go for? Which one should we go for? From known to unknown. Okay, let's start from the fact that they filled the billing state. Okay, so only those that filled their billing state. So customers that filled their billing states. All right. So that means these people, this one that has A, B, M, A, and all those things. Okay. So let's start with that. Yeah, we can still address the other one later. We'll still check the other one. Okay. So let me start with this. Now, look at what is going to happen. So that means these are customers that filled their billing states. So we have this. So it should not. So that means these people should not have null in billing state. So, but where do we get our billing state? We get our billing state from, what's the name of that table? We get our billing state from, what table is this? From invoices, right? So that means the tables we'll be dealing with is first, so the customers table and the invoices table. So those are the tables we'll be dealing with. Do we understand to this point? Because the customer's name and the email, they don't exist in the invoice table, right? So this is the customer's name and email only exists in the customer's table. So if I do select all, let me do this. So I will give you a little hack. Select all from customers. Okay. Then I would go down and say select all from invoices. So what I'll do here is I will highlight these two and click on this second lightning bolt. So what happens here is that I'm meant to have two of this. I'm meant to have these two. So I use my shift. So I'm meant to have customer and another table. Okay. What did I do wrong? Let me run this. Okay. So let me just delete this whole stuff up here, and let me just run this general button. Okay, so it shows me the two tables. This is customer and this is invoices, right? So this customer, this invoice. So now see what happens here. So I can compare. So when I look at this customer, when I look at this customer table, I can see that this is where I see the name. All right. So I can see the first name, the last name, and all those stuff. So let's say I want to get this customer's first name and let's say their country. Let's say I want to get, okay, I have email here, right? So I need the customer's first name and their email. So I can only get that from the customer's table. But when it comes to knowing if they filled their billing states, I can only see information of billing states in the invoices table. Do you understand? So that means I cannot get my full information until I join the customers and the invoices table, because the information about the billing states exists only in the invoices table. If I come to the customers table, I can't see any information about billing states. If there was a column about the billing states here, then I will not need invoices. I will just get everything from here. But in this case, there are some information that are important in my query, but they exist in another table. So that is why you use join. Join is just an English word that says you want to combine two things to make them one. So if I'm joining, that means I want to combine multiple tables and make them one table. That's what it means. All right. So in this case, what am I going to do here? In this case, what am I going to do here? I would come to, let me just come here and just let's write this. So let's say what we need is the customer first name, okay, first name and email. All right. So first, we can see what are we going to get from the customer table? What are we going to get from the customer table? Like what columns are we going to get from the customer table? What columns are we going to get from the customer table? Should I go back to my SQL? Yeah, for the customers table, we get first name, right? So first name, check the spelling, first name. What else do we need? Do we need the last name, first name, last name, and email, right? First name, last name, and email. Maybe we should use customer ID too, right? So let me write that down. So from here, we need first name, we need the first name, we need the last name, and we need the email. Right? Are we good? Then I think we also need the customer ID. It's not compulsory, but let's say we will need that. Are we okay this way? Then for the invoice table, let me just put this. So for the invoices table, what are we going to need? For the invoices table, what are we going to need? Let's see. For the invoices table, we are going to need, let me go to the invoices table. We just need these billing states, right? These billing states, that's all we need from the invoices table, the billing states. All right. So but it's not just the billing states we need, we also need the customer ID to verify, right? But the major thing we need is the billing states. So let's just go here. So for the invoices table, all we just need is the billing states. Now look at what is going to happen here. So I have to join both of them. I have to join both of them. Okay. So to join both of them now, what I will just say here is I want to join. I'll write it in an English statement, just like we are doing flowchart and serial code. I want to join customers table and invoices table, but to only show details of those that have filled their billing states. Okay, so this is more like I'm writing my pseudo code, right? So I'm joining customers table with invoices table, but just to show details of those that have filled their billing states. So this is how I'm going to start. So I'll just write my select. Okay, I'll write select. I'll just write select. Look at how I'm going to write my stuff. Okay, select from. Okay, This is the syntax, right? Select from, okay. Then we'll say join. All right, so we could do that. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So what am I selecting from? I'm selecting this. I'll first select from customers. Okay, so I'm selecting maybe the customer's name, right? First name. I'm selecting first name. What else? Aside the first name, we said the last name, right? Last name, the email. Okay, I think that's all right. I'm selecting these people. Then from customers. Now, I need to now join these people with these guys. What do we call them? The invoices, right? I'll need to join them with invoices. Do you understand my point? Let's see what's going to happen here. Let's just see what's going to happen here. Let's just try this. Okay, I'm not showing you that this is what is going to work, but okay, now when you see join invoices, there is something missing. When you join a table, you have to tell the system what is the what's the relationship between this table, what is the common thing between this table. You cannot join two uncommon tables together. There have to be a column that exists in this table and also exists in that table. If you don't have that column, you cannot join them. Okay, so I'm saying join on what? So join invoices on what? First of all, the customers has a column called customer ID that also exists in the others table. So the others also has customer ID. But I cannot just say customer ID equals customer ID, right? I have to say that, okay, this first customer ID belongs to the customers table. So customers dot customer ID. This other customers ID belongs to the others table. So others dot customer ID. Do we understand this? Awesome. Okay. I can see you've already told me it's the customer ID. Cool. So now, is anything missing here? Let's copy these and check. Let's copy this and check in the workbench. Okay. So if I run this and let me run this, I see there's an error here. What's the error? It says unknown column others dot customer ID. That's what it's showing me here. Unknown column others dot customer ID in on clause. Is that true? What did I get wrong? It says it's not others. The column name is not others. The column name is invoices. Yes. Yeah. So invoices, right? Hope that's the spelling. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, so you see, it gives me the information, right? It gives me the information. But let's add one more thing. Let me add billing states. So we are sure that this is correct. What's it saying? I have an error. Billing states, unknown column billing state in field list. Or is the name not billing states? Is the name not billing states? Let's see the spelling, right? Okay, let me check invoices, and I will check the columns. So yes, is the spelling. Billing states, there is no underscore, so it is just one word. And let's run this. Okay, so we have the query here. Okay, so what are you seeing here? You can see that we use join, but you can see that we still have billing states that are null, right? So we still have billing states that are null. So why do we have billing states that are null here? Because we didn't use the proper explanation of this. What do you think I would introduce here to make this null not appear? because I want only the people that filled the billing states. So what am I going to introduce in this particular query? Where? Okay. What should I use with where? Okay. Where billing state is not null. Exactly. So you can see, I can say from this, and then I would say where billing states, right? That's billing states. You say it's not null, right? So now you can see that you won't see any null here because I have first of all joined two tables, all right? But I have also removed the fact that it should be null. Now, if I want to check if for the states that are nulls, what am I going to use? If it is for the states that has only null, only the states that have nulls, what should I use instead of is not null? What should I use? Is null? Is null. So let's try that. I'm following you. You are the ones teaching me. Awesome. So you can see if you scroll to the end, you can see nulls, right? So you can see how join has made these two tables to make it look like it's one table, right? You can see how join has made these two tables to make it like it's one table. Okay, so that's the power of nulls. All right. Okay, now let's even look at the data sets. Hmm. If you for those that still have challenges after this, you notice it's not like the main thing we should do. Okay, for those that still have challenges after this, you could just recheck the recording of last webinar where I touched on joins. I touched on left and right joins. Okay, so at least this one I'm touching on inner joins that does not exist in the last webinar, so you could just use that to brace yourself up. All right, are we good to go? Can we continue? So yeah, so somebody is asking a question if there is an order that null follows when joining or it joins randomly. So as far as the only order that it follows is that this customer ID equals this customer ID. So as far as it sees the ID in customers and it sees it in invoices, it's going to join those ones. Okay, null does not have an effect in it. Null is null. Like there is no order. So you are just saying where billing is not null. Okay, so that's just all about null. So it doesn't whatever talks about the order is here, except you're talking of the arrangement of the query. Okay, when it comes to arrangement of the query, you know that where comes after from, right? So that's just the only arrangement you need to know about maybe where to use null. So it's not the null that matters here, it's the where clause. So yeah, so that's what has to do with the arrangement. So but whatever the major decider of how the query is going to work is mostly on what you are joining on. Okay, right. So now very quickly, let's go to something about today before we lose it on everything. So I want to introduce you to another very interesting thing. Okay, let's look at something here. Do we have? Okay, let me use TMDB. Let me use TMDB, and let's see what do we have in TMDB. What tables do we have in TMDB? We have actors. We have movies. Is there any table that has to do with the price? With price, with amounts? Oh, I have revenue here. Awesome. So now let me look at the movies table here. So let's say select all from movies. Okay. So now select all from movies. Okay. So let me look at the revenue table here. All right. Let me look at the revenue table. Um, let me do something here. If I want to get the average revenue that was spent, what am I going to use? The average revenue that was spent, what am I going to use? Average revenue, good. So I'll say select average of revenue, right? From movies. So this is the average. Okay. Let me copy this and let me just paste it here. Average revenue. So let's say, for example, um, Tesfaye, you're asking if you can that you're having issues uploading the Chinook into SQL. It says file does not exist. I think if you just follow, let's just hold on. Maybe after this, just watch the recording because I took time in explaining how to access the file and how to load it. Okay, so probably there's a step you've missed. All right, because that's the same method I'm using here. So now, let's say we want to find out the movie that's like you want to find out premium movies that are above, that are more that are sold higher than the average movie. Okay, let's say you want to find movies that are sold more than the average movies. Those kind of queries exist, like those kind of problems exist, isn't it? So let's say you want to find out, like, oh, this is how much people buy things, and averagely this product costs this amount. But we want to see like the customers that buy products that are more than the average sales. That means you want to see like customers that are more than the average customers, people that you likely consider as your premium customers. So people that kind of buy things beyond the average amount. So the same thing, you want to find out movies that are more expensive than the average amount for movies. Okay, but in this case, it's revenue, right? Revenue is more like how much these movies have brought into the industry. So you want to see that, okay, this is the revenue generated by most movies. That's what average usually looks like, right? This is the revenue that most movies generate. So now you want to see the movies that generate more than this revenue. So how do you do that? You're going to say something like, oh, I want to select say movies. All right, I want to select all from movies. Okay, what else? What are we going to do here? I want to select all from movies. Okay, can you help me out? I want to select all from movies. What should happen? I want to see movies that are more than the average, right? Okay, so where what exactly? We are going to say where the revenue is greater than these amounts, right? Where the revenue is greater than these amounts. Do we understand? Exactly. Exactly. Do you understand my points? Okay, so let's see if this is going to work. So you can see that now I have a list of movies that has come up. Now let's check the revenue. Let's check the revenue. In this place, you would not see any revenue that is lower than this amount or even equal to this amount. All the revenues you are going to see here will be way more than this amount. That's what it means, right? So, but we can't continue hard coding all these things. We have to make it automated. You cannot be a data person when you're not thinking of automating things. Automation does not mean something complicated. Automation just means that instead of manually doing these things, you can do something that can be dynamic, okay, that can work without manual input. So this is what happens now. I'm going to copy this code and paste it here again. So instead of doing this, I will just highlight this particular query, right? Can you remember? This is the query that gave us the result of the average. Was it not? This is the query that gave us the result, right? So I will just copy this query and then I will delete this and put that query in parentheses. If I run this, I will get the same results. Do we understand? Now, this is what we call subqueries. Do we understand how we got here? If you have issues with this, can you indicate? And let's see if we can do that. So let's try something else. Let's try something else. Okay. Let's try something else so that I'll use that to explain. Okay. Let me look at something that could be. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's say I want to do something now. Okay. I want to say let's say I want to see how many people had how many people's budgets was more than 100 million? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 10 million. How many people's budget was more than 10 million? So I will say select, okay? But remember, I'm talking of how many, so I'll say count, right? So how many people's budgets from what table is this? Movies. So how many movies had budget more than 10 million? Okay. So select count from movies where budgets, right, is greater than 10 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what do we have here? I have 26. So I could just change this alias as number of movies. So I have 2,653 movies. Okay. Do we understand this part? You know how we get how we got this. You know how to do this, right? These are 2,653 movies whose budgets are more than 10 million. Do we understand that part? Do we understand that part? Okay, awesome. Now, with this, how about we want to see how many people whose budgets, let me write that. So now I want to get how many people's or how many movies had a budget more than the average budget, right? We want to get how many people had a budget more than the average budget. In this case, what do we need to do? First of all, you need to know the average budget, right? You have to first know the average budget before you know the number of people, the number of movies that were more than the average budget. So that means I'll first calculate what is the average budget of movies, right? So I'll say select average budget. That's the column name, right? Select average budget from the movies table. Okay. That's all, isn't it? Are we together? This should work, right? So if I run this, what do I have? I have these amounts. Okay. Now I want to copy these amounts and show you what's going to happen. So I have these amounts. So let me just put it in a comment. So you know that I'm not done answering this question. I want to see how many movies that had a budget more than the average. You know that it's the same type of query that we have here. Here we have budget that is more than 10 million. But in this case now, we want to see the number of movies that have budget more than a particular average. So I want to reuse this query instead of writing from fresh. But in this case, I'm saying I want a budget that is more, instead, not more than 10 million now, but it's more than this amount, because this amount is the average amount. Do you understand that? Okay. So if I run this, I see that I have 1,598 movies that are more than this amount. And what is this amount? It is the average amount, right? But the thing is that this is not very healthy to manually write the average, because that means I'll have to run this query, then I'll now copy this result and put it here to run it again. It doesn't make sense, because, for example, now, what if that table has more data? Like tomorrow now, another data could add to it. Other movies will be added to that data set. In such situation where other movies are added to that data set, you know that the average is going to change. So that means this number you would use will give you a wrong result. So will you be coming every time to your query to start changing the results, to start changing this number, because more data sets or more data values have been added in the data set? So it doesn't make sense, right? It works, but it's not scalable. Do you understand? So instead of saying that where budget is greater than these amounts, I can just say, instead of writing the amount, I can just write that query that gave me the average. And what is the query? I'll put my parentheses first. Then I'll write that query. The query says select average of these budgets, right? Select average of budget from movies, right? So, because what happens is the system is going to run this query inside the parentheses. Can you remember BODMAS, right? What was the first thing? Brackets. When you are doing like mathematics and all those stuff, right? BODMAS, it will start with the brackets before anything. So you putting this thing in parentheses tells it already that it should not just run this query. It should start from this one that is in the parentheses. That's what it's going to do. That's what the engine will do. So the engine is going to run this. And when it runs this, it's going to get this results. You understand? It's going to get this results. Now, it will now use this results as a filter for this other query. That's why it's called subqueries. So this is the subquery, and this other one here is the outer query. So, but the way it executes, it starts executing from the subquery. So the result of the subquery becomes the input of the outer query. It's being used to complete the outer query. Okay, so now if I run this, I would get the same result, 1598. So in this situation, whenever there is a data set that comes in, whenever we have new data coming in, even though the average changes, because this query is rerunning itself, it will always update it and give us the right result. Hope you understand that part. Hope you are good. Okay. Awesome. 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 Now, let me also give you another thing that is like a bit more beautiful than subquery, and that is what we call CTEs. CTE means common table expression. Okay, CTE means common table expression. I don't want us to go too much into the subqueries. We could do other examples of subqueries and all those things, right? So you could just think about it. You can use it for a filter, you can use it for something else. So, but this is just for you to understand the concept behind subqueries. And I'm sure you understand it now. Now, I want to use this same result for common table expressions. Now, when we talk about common table expressions, okay, when we talk about common table expressions, what do we mean? So what it means is that it's like you are creating a table that is just temporal for that usage. But the major thing about CTE is that CTE just makes it easier for you to understand your subquery. CTE is like the solution for a complex subquery. There are some times that the subquery you write might be complicated and it will be difficult to read. So CTE helps you to be able to even read it properly. For example, if I want to write this same thing as a CTE, this is what is going to happen. I'm going to start with. Okay. So CTE uses the with clause. Okay. They call it with clause or with, yeah, they call it with clause sometimes. All right. So that's CTE. So I would say, who can remind me the CTE, the clause for CTE, the syntax for CTE? So I would say with, let's give it a name. Let's say with what name will I call this? So let's say with average budget. Okay, with average budget as, this is how you write it, right? Then I open my parentheses. Remember what I told you about BODMAS, right? Like, when you open the parentheses, what it simply means is that the engine is going to recognize that as the first point of call. Okay, I will show you the major difference now between CTE and subqueries, which is not a textbook difference. It's just my way of trying to make sure I understand it. Okay, so I'll just share it with you. So now, with average budget as, I'm going to say average select average budget, okay, from movies. You can see it's the same thing, right? But look at the sweet thing about CTE. I can now write this same thing. I can now say select counts. Okay, I can say select count of this. All right, let me just still use as number of movies. As number of movies. Okay, from, now the from I will use the from table. This table is going to be the name of this city. All right, so from this, and I close it. I would run this and then I will explain it again to you. Okay, so now what do we have? We have number of movies 1. Is that correct? Oh, okay. I see what happened. Okay. So what's happening here? That's true. So if let's do select all from average budgets. It's going to give you just one information, right? So that's what we are seeing here. That's what we are seeing here. So what we should do is this. Select, look at what I'm going to do here. So I'll say select the count of everything from movies. Okay, remember I said we are repeating this query, but in where select all from the count of movies. I think I'm making an error here. Where the budget is greater than, there is an issue here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Budget is greater than this query I'm about to write is not gonna work. Okay, because I'm trying to call a particular table. But let's see. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay, so let me show you. Let me just do it the right way. Okay, so this, let me just do it the right way. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to do something like this. Select all from select counts from tables, from movies, okay, where budgets is greater than, I would put this in a subquery, which shouldn't be, but let me just show you. Where budget is greater than, select all from average budgets. Select all from average budgets. Okay, so we have the results here. Okay, so let me just explain to you what's going on here. Now, when you create this particular CTE, okay, when you create this particular CTE, what you are creating is more like a table. Is more like a table. For example, I can say I want to see the maximum. Okay, you don't just use it for simple subqueries. Let's say I want to see the maximum of budgets as well. Okay, I want to see the maximum of budgets. Okay, is this what we use to get max? Why is it not showing? Okay, so let's say I want to also get the minimum of budgets from movies. Let me see. What's the syntax for maximum? What's the syntax for maximum? I think I'm mixing Postgres and SQL, MySQL. What's the syntax for maximum? Are we there, or is it just me in this on this call? It's max, right? Okay, so what happened? Okay, can anybody troubleshoot this with me? What do you think is happening here? What do you think is happening here? No, the width should not affect this. Let's write that separately. Okay, let's write that separately. So if I do select all, let's say select the maximum, right? Select maximum of budget. You can see it's graying it out. It's graying it out. But average works. Yep. Analyst, help me. What's the issue here from movies? The column to group by, no, if we have aggregations, then we don't really need, if it's only aggregations, we don't really need like group by column. All right, so let's look at it now. This is select all, right? This is select all from movies. Okay, and if I run this, these are all the movies. These are all the movies, except the movies is not a numeric data, is not regarded as numeric. Is that possible? Okay, let me just do this. Okay, let me just do average and count. Okay, so let's say average of the budgets. Let's say average of the budgets. Okay, and then counts of the budgets. Oh, counts too is having issues. Hey, I think something is wrong somewhere that I cannot really troubleshoot right now. Something is wrong somewhere. Okay, but count is working despite the gray nature of it. So let's see if max is going to work. So max is working. Okay, so cool. So it's working. I was just, is the the nature, the way it appeared was not looking like, I was expecting it to be blue. Okay, cool. So that means if we run it here, that means it's also working in this query. So I have max budget, I have minimum budgets. So look at what happens here. You saw what we did, right? So if I do select all, if I do select all from, if I do select all from this table, I'm going to see the result of this. So I can see the average budget, I can see the maximum budget, I can see the minimum budget, right? So this is like you creating your own table within your code, right? You are creating a table within your code, and you can do anything from this table. For example, I can even say I want to see the average of this average budget. Let's give this average budget a name. Let's call it, say, average budgets. Okay. So now I can say I want to check the average of average budgets. Although that's not like a very healthy query. I want to check the average of average budget from this table. If I run this, see what happens. Let me close this. If I run this, what happens? It gives me an error. What's going on? Okay, let's troubleshoot the error. Sometimes I like when I see error because it helps us to understand what to troubleshoot. So average does not exist. Oh, okay. So average is not, is because of this average. So it should be AVG. Okay, so I run this. So you can see it gives me the average of this particular table. I know that is a bit complex for some people. So I just wanted to run the query and then let me just re-explain it. What we are trying to do here is there are certain situations whereby your subqueries might be complicated. So CTE does not make things easier, it only makes things more readable. So I can look at this thing and say, okay, this is, remember, if you are looking at the subquery, you understand the subquery that it's being calculated from this information in the parentheses, right? So sometimes you can get confused when it's becoming complicated. But you see, when you check this one, you know that it starts from the top and it goes down. So it makes your code readable. So I know that, okay, this is where it starts from. This is the table. And whatever query I'm writing here is for this particular table. Now, what you also need to understand is your select is only going to work if it is directly under this particular parenthesis. Like if it is under it, don't think that you just gonna write, you can't write this somewhere else. Like I just write this, I say select average of this from here, I'm going to have an error because it does not recognize any table like this. This query would only exist inside this block of CTE. All right. So after this parenthesis, you will just write this for it to work. All right. If you're having a syntax error, can you just copy and paste what you wrote in the chat? Okay. So now, okay. All right. So let's do one more thing, and I'll explain to you how CT really works. Let me look at this column again. Let me just look at the movies. Let's see if there are things that I could get from the movies. Let me look at Oscars. What do we have in Oscars? Select all from Oscars. Okay, and let's run that. Okay, so in this table, I have the winner, I have actor, I have the name, I have the theme. Okay, I have the year. So let's say I want to group them. I want to see the number of awards given to actors, all right, to the different groups. So let's say I say select, I will say um select all, right? I'll say select all from um I wouldn't use select all. Let's just do that. Okay, select from, then okay, let's select from Oscars. Okay, what do you want to do here now? I want to group them, right? I want to see, okay, actor, how many awards were given to actors? How many awards were given to this person? How many awards were given to these and all those stuff, right? So, but we know we have null here. We have null. So that means, what does this null mean? Does it mean that this person was not a winner? That's what it means, right? So it means this person was not a winner. So in that 1928, there was another person that was a winner, right? So this person was probably nominated but did not win. So let's do this now. So we'll say select actors. Okay. Once you select not actors, right? Select awards. Okay. And what do you want to get? We want to get the count of, let's do the count of awards. I think there's a hack I might show you here today. So let's say the count of award. Okay, so this is going to give us the award and the number of awards. All right. So I think this is okay for us from Oscars. All right. Should we put the year? Should we put the year? I think we should put the year, right? Let's put the year. Let's also put the year. Okay, let's put the year first. Then I would say group by. Remember the rules in grouping by. When you are grouping by something, this is an aggregate function. I'm sure you know that one, right? This is an aggregation. This is an aggregate function, the count award. You understand that part, right? This is an aggregate function. Okay. This award, this year, these are non-aggregate columns. So this is like an aggregate column, and these are non-aggregate columns. In group by, you have to include non-aggregate columns in the group by clause. That's like a simple way I used to understand it. It's not a textbook definition, but that's a simple way I used to understand it. That we have aggregate columns, we have non-aggregate columns. When you are using a group by, you have to put aggregate columns inside here. Sorry, non-aggregate columns inside here. What it means is that anything that you declared in your select statements, aside from the one that has aggregation, please also add them in your group by clause. So I'm going to put here, I'm going to put award. Okay. So, yeah. So let's run this. Now, I'm seeing that in 1928, we had 2 people that won the award. But remember, that is not correct, right? We had, I think it was 1 person, right, that won the award. So what I would do here is I would say from this, and I will, under the from, I will say where, what was that column for the that had the null? What was that column? Is it winner? Yes. Where winner is not null. So you can see I have 1 person that won actor, 1 person that won this, 2 people won this in 1928. Please hope this was not too much. Did you understand what I've just done to this point? This is like the usual query. I'm just trying to use this to get into CTE. Do you understand it to this point? Okay. Awesome. That's cool. All right. So now, let's say I want to use this table that I've generated. You know, I've just generated a table. So I want to use this table that I've generated to make some inquiries. For example, I want to know how many 1928 awards, how many awards were given in 1928. I cannot be writing those things again inside this query, right? So I would have, so this is what I would do. I would now say something like this. I would say, okay, I want to check. Let me just write the question so I remember it. How many awards were given, or how many winners did we have in 1928. So to do this, what I'm going to do here is just watch. I'll use a subquery and then I'll use city. So what I'm going to do here is I would say, okay, I would say select the number of winners, right? So I'll say count of what? Count of I can say count of everything, right? I'll say select count of everything, okay? From, look at what's going to happen here. I'll say count of everything from this, from now is going to be from this particular query. You understand? Now I have put this particular query now inside parentheses. Do you understand what I mean? So this is now a subquery. Mean it's going to run this first. It's going to run this first and generate this table. When it generates this table, then it will now count this one, right? It will count this one and say from this one where the year equals 1928. All right. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay. So it says every derived column must have its alias, right? So what it means is I made a mistake here. I was meant to write the name of the column here, the name of this table here. Okay. You cannot see. Can you see my screen? What is it? My screen you can't see or the error message? Okay. So the output is tiny. It's down here. So let me see if I can raise it up. So it's just somewhere here, right? So you know how this is it here. Every derived table must have its own alias. So what it means is when you're writing, when you're using SQL, I'm sorry, when you're using a subquery, and the subquery is meant to be like the from. Okay, let me explain to you. If your subquery, you can use your subquery to be a filter. That's what we did here, where it came as, you know, for your where clause, where budget equals is greater than this. So this is you using your subquery to filter something. But you can also use your subquery as a reference table. You understand? So you're saying select this one from this particular table. So in that situation, you know that every table must have a name. So you are making your subquery here like the table that this query should fetch from. So you have to put a name or an alias. So I can call this maybe temporal, maybe temp info. Okay. I can just, you don't need to put as. You can, I think if you put as, it should still work, right? It's an alias. So you can say this as temp info. All right. Do you understand that point? For everything that is like a table, every table should have a name. That's what it means. So anything that appears from, if you say from, obviously you're saying from a table, right? So if you're saying from a table, what's the name of the table? So if you're using subquery as the table, you don't just put the subquery, you have to give it an alias so the system understands it as a table. All right. So if I run this now, I'm saying select count everything from here, and I run this, you see, it shows me 13. So it showed me that there are 13 people that won the awards in 1928. So we have 13 winners. Now you can see how this is already becoming complicated, right? You can see how this is already becoming, you know, somewhat, it's not very easy to read and understand. But look at what I'm going to do with my CTE. In my CTE, what I will just do here is I would copy this code. I don't have to rewrite this thing again. We've achieved this, right? So I'm going to write this code here. Now I'll put it in parentheses, obviously. Okay. Then I would say that, okay, with, let's call this with, what do we call the table that time? Temporal info, right? With temp info as this. Do you understand this part? So let me just break this. With temp info, I can see people are tired already. This is the last one I'll touch. with temp info as this. Okay. Then I'm saying select counts of everything, select count of everything from this temp info. You know, this is 13, right? If I run this, I should still see. Oh, what did you say? Okay, I did not put the. Did I put the? Did I put the rich? Did I put the What do we call it? Select count. Okay, I didn't put the where clause. I didn't put the where clause, right? So I'll say select count of everything from this. Okay, then I could say where the year equals 1928. So let's run this. So you see, we still have 13. So what has happened here is I have this. This is easier to read, right? Let me reduce my font so you can see both queries. Let me see if I can collapse this information so you can see both queries and you can judge for yourself which one looks more readable, right? So this is this is the subquery, right? And this is us doing it with CTE. Which one looks cleaner? The second one should look cleaner, right? Okay, so that's just it, right? So CTE makes it easier for you to read. With this, I can know that, okay, what the system did was to calculate this, and then I now use this to get results from this thing that it calculated. Okay, so that is the essence of CTE. It makes your code readable so that you are not going to get lost in the complexity of writing queries, subqueries, and all those stuff, right? So CTE makes it easier for you to read, to understand, to arrange. You understand? Both of them works the same way, but CTE makes it readable. Tomorrow, if you open this code,
Hi Coyote, is it only me or the screen is blank? Mbali Halima, can anybody hear me?
Hey John, yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I think Byron is back actually.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
thanks,
Byron.
John. Thanks.
Sorry for that, Byron.
yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Welcome back.
Thank you. Um, the power just took everything off. Please, I think I am done with that. Okay. if you have questions, please let's do that. Let's ask our questions and then we can continue. All right. So let's just ask questions and then we wrap it up. Okay. So I can't see the Q and A. I can't see the Q and A again, right? Because it switched off. So I don't know. I can't really see the questions. Let me see. Do we have questions there? Do we still have pending questions, John
No,
or
at the
Halima?
Q&A, we don't have questions at the Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so I think you can, yeah, those asking to reach out to me. If you can't meet, you can reach out to me on eHub, maybe LinkedIn. Okay, so yeah, my name is my name on LinkedIn. Yep. So I think that is all for now. So before that, I think we have to do some things. So we have to fill in some forms, the polls. Okay. Please let's just fill in the poll. Yeah. Alima, could you help me out with the poll? Let me just try answer the questions in the chat. With the poll, the non-pure poll. Okay. All right. So any question right now, like in the chat, post any questions. So we'll just wrap it up. So I'll just give you a heads up. Don't forget that you have to use your alternate databases. So just click on this link and you have access to those information. Okay. So this file is going to be shared with you. So there are a lot of information in this file you could use to, help yourself. Okay. So now let's do okay, let's talk about your your support channels. Please don't forget to always try to reach out. Don't get stuck. Okay, we have multiple support channels that you can shout out, and let's see if we could help you. All right, don't be stuck in your Jupyter notebook connections. Try to use the alternate databases we've provided for you, and your next assessment will be due I think on Friday. I hope I'm right. That is on Friday. Yeah. So where your next assignment would be due. So I wish you the best of luck in that. And like I said, do not get stuck for long. Please just cry out and we'll see how best we can help you. Okay. And now till we meet again next week. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye for now.